This is the Coffee Playdate podcast, and I am Dr. Olga Dingar, hospitalist, mom of 3 under 6, and a life coach for women physicians and professionals. On this podcast, I spotlight entrepreneurs and doctorpreneurs who are doing incredible things beyond traditional medicine. You'll hear the real-life stories behind their mindset shifts, the challenges they've overcome, and the practical advice that they share to support aspiring entrepreneurs on their own paths. Welcome to the Coffee Playdate podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Olga Dingar, and I have a very special guest with me, Dr. Steve Moore. Welcome.
How are you doing, Olga? Nice to be here with you and everybody else.
Doing great. I'm so happy you're here. I always like to start off by asking, do you drink coffee?
I do. I love coffee.
And how do you like your coffee?
Well, we usually do French press, but we also have one of those Nespresso machines, and they make really good cappuccinos or espressos.
So you have either one, whichever one's kind of available. Right?
Depending on our mood and how quickly we want to make a cup of coffee.
Beautiful. We're going to start off with our first game. It's called the Rapid Fire Questions game. I'm going to ask you 4 questions. Just choose the answer that is your favorite. You don't have to give an explanation, and just go with your gut instinct. Ready?
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, the first question is morning workout or evening workout?
Morning workout.
Great. Next one is supplements or whole food nutrition first?
Both.
Perfect. The next one is addressing the root cause or simply managing symptoms?
Root cause.
Yeah. And the last one is tracking your health data or listening to your body?
Ooh, that's a good one. It's both. I think we need to listen to our body, and there are a lot of things that happen in our body that we don't feel, so we can't always trust our body, and we have to be able to track things as well that our body isn't aware of.
Absolutely. I love that answer. For this next game, it's called Take a Sip. It's the same concept, but we're both going to play. If our answers match, we take a sip from our coffee cups.
Okay.
All right. The first question is running a marathon or climbing Mount Everest to the first base camp?
Okay. I'm going to do neither. Do I have to choose one?
If you had to choose.
I would probably do the Mount Everest.
Okay, cool. Yep, I'm going to choose the marathon because that's the next one on my list. Okay, so no sips. Next question, watching a rocket launch or having a beach day with your family?
A beach day with family, but I do like rocket launches a lot, but beach day with family because we all love doing that.
Okay, good. I'm going to choose rocket launch. And the next one is going on a cruise to the Bahamas or a ski trip to Utah?
Cruise.
And choose ski trip. We have nothing to happen.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know what? I'm on the cusp of both of those, so I could have got either way. I actually like to. I would choose all of them if I had to choose all of them, right?
Yeah. And the last question here, which is a little bit of a spicy one. Getting bitten by a snake or a scorpion?
Ooh, a snake or a scorpion? I mean, it depends on what kind of snake and scorpion it is, but let's do scorpion.
I would choose snake. Wait, I didn't say it was a deadly bite from a snake,
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, so Steve, tell us a little bit more about yourself and the incredible work that you're doing.
By the way, I did eat a scorpion once.
You did?
Yes, I was at a resort down in Mexico, and we had some really exotic sushi there, and they had a scorpion on top of one of the pieces of sushi. It was a very difficult. It was a mindset thing, right? To just overcome that. It was very difficult to eat, but it wasn't bad.
What does that taste like?
It was just dried out. So it was just crunchy. It didn't taste like anything. There's nothing in it. I mean, it was just basically a dried out scorpion. I'll show you a picture of it. It's actually pretty cool looking. Go back to your question here.
So I'd love for our listeners to learn a little bit about you and the work that you're doing. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So I started my career studying pre-med to be an orthopedic surgeon. I had always wanted to be a doctor. I considered being a dentist, an orthodontist, a pediatrician, and orthopedics was one of those things that I thought was kind of cool. So I studied pre-med, was getting ready to go to medical school, and I really had a change of heart when we look at healthcare, getting back to the root cause of things. And I wanted to try to keep people healthier and get the body to heal and not just do, prescribe drugs or do surgeries. And I had a friend that was helped by a chiropractor and visited him, and he was really enjoying the way he was practicing. He had more flexibility than an orthopedic surgeon did. And he was focused on keeping people healthy and keeping the body healthy. And I was really intrigued by that. So I moved out to California, went to chiropractic school. And when I was going through school, I was trying to figure out how I was going to pay for my expensive apartment in the Silicon Valley during the whole .com boom. And I started this this little business with this new health technology that I discovered, and would start off as like a little side thing that I was doing just to make some money and do something I could enjoy. Turned in over the last 20 years into a multi-million dollar business and never went into practice. So got my license in New York, became the first doctor in my family, and went off on some entrepreneurial thing right out of school.
Wow. Do you ever think about that decision going to orthopedic surgery or a chiropractor school? Do you ever think that maybe you would have had a different path and if you were to become an orthopedic surgeon?
Much different path. And every day I think about that, I'm glad I chose the path that I'm on right now, because it allows me to help more people. It allows me to be home with my family. It allows us to travel and have flexibility. And if I would have been in full-time practice as a surgeon, life would have been very different.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm glad that you've stepped into this space. Now, how has your company or business evolved over time? What are some of the bigger breakthroughs you've had?
Well, over the last handful of years, we've really been leveraging software and technology to be able to scale. We're in the wellness industry. So when I started this 20 years ago, it wasn't moving as fast as it is today. And so we could handle a lot more on our own with personal interactions. But it was about 5 or 6 years ago, right before COVID, kind of going into COVID, I was noticing an uptick in the interest in wellness. Things were moving at a faster pace. And I just imagined, well, how are we going to handle more accelerated growth if we're already feeling like we're kind of maxed out with what we can do? And I really shifted my mindset, not just thinking about what we could do to grow incrementally by making small changes, but what could we do to support a business that's going to grow 10 times faster, 20 times faster, 30 times faster? And the solutions are radically different when you're in that mindset versus just incremental growth. And that's when I started talking to some friends. And I really believe that when you have ideas and you shift your mindset, that God, the universe, the world will bring new ideas, because your subconscious mind is trying to figure out how to accomplish that. And all the knowledge and information is around us at any given moment. We just don't notice it unless we have a goal that those tools around us are going to support. So I had actually my son's friend's father was I didn't really know what he did, but I knew he did something with software. And I was asking him some questions about just solving one little problem in our business. We have these issues. We're doing these webinars. We're trying to figure out how to automate more. I'm not sure how to solve this problem. And next thing I know, I've known the guy for a year or so, but I never really knew exactly what he did. And he says, well, I actually build softwares that do similar things. And you know more about software development than most of the people I know. And I never thought of myself as a software person. I don't know how to code. I didn't go to school for it. But he said, your way of thinking is very similar to it. And I think most doctors think this way, right? We think differential diagnosis. So we're automatically like mapping out all the things in our head when we're trying to figure out what the diagnosis may be. And that's very similar to how software engineers work when it comes to like workflows and automations. And so he encouraged me to say, hey, go take a look at this. And I think you should just go build your own company to go do this. And I had no idea what he was thinking about until 4 o'clock in the morning. I wake up and my brain is just processing all these ideas. Like while I was sleeping, it was like automatically kind of coming into focus for me. And I just said, okay, I'm going to go do this. And that has really revolutionized. One of the things that I should say has revolutionized our business is that one simple idea solving one problem now opened up the doors for me to solve so many other constraints in our business.
Yes.
So that's been a fun journey, right? Then you learn the skill set by tinkering with things, and then you realize, well, now the skill set I learned, I can now apply to solve other problems or other constraints in my business, and that's led to development of a whole new business to support my primary business.
Amazing. I am a very strong believer in whatever you focus on, you get. And like you mentioned, your subconscious mind, whatever you feed into it, it's going to work on finding those solutions. And then things will just kind of miraculously happen around you to bring the right people into your life that can help you solve the challenges that you're facing. So that's so cool. It actually gave me the chills when you were telling that story. Are you still in contact with your son's?
Yeah, we still touch base every now and then. So yeah, we still communicate quite often. He lives in Jupiter here where I live, so he's not too far away from me.
That's amazing. Very cool. Has there been anything that helped you along the way, maybe being part of a community of entrepreneurs or people who have big visions and anything like that?
Yeah, when I started my business, I was around a bunch of other entrepreneurs that really inspired me. And I really think that you do become the average of the people you spend the most time with. And so if you're around other entrepreneurs, you're going to have entrepreneur conversations. And again, by focusing on those conversations, you're going to grow in those areas you want to grow. So I've been around a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of out of the box thinkers, and I've really enjoyed all those conversations. It's interesting. We get together regularly throughout the year through some of the conferences that we put on. And it's amazing how quickly entrepreneurs can connect. They can be complete strangers, and you
Yes.
put a bunch of them in the room, and next thing you know, they're all talking to each other, learning, getting along like they've been friends for a long time.
Exactly. I have the same feeling too when we get together as physician entrepreneurs through our conferences and other meetups. I mean, there's so much power in community, and those people can also uplift you. They can share their resources with you. You can share your resources with them. I mean, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, I love seeing people win. And if there's something that I learned and I can share that with somebody else and they can take a little bit of a shortcut or condense their learning curve. I mean, that's what entrepreneurs like to do is like, hey, I figured out how to do this and I'll share it with you and you can go out there and win. And if you surround yourself by people that are just genuinely wanting to help one another, everybody starts winning and they're having fun. I mean, some businesses see each other as competition and some people just want to contribute and grow. And I think that when you can contribute and grow other people, you grow yourself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I wanted to touch base a little bit more about the mindset tools that you needed to have in order to pursue your entrepreneurial journey. Because I'm sure you faced a lot of challenges and some failures along the way, like everyone does. But how did you learn and how did you grow from those challenges?
Well, there are a few things that I really focused on. Some principles is number one is to set goals. Right. If you don't set goals, you have no idea where you're going. You really have to set goals, believe in your goals, envision what your life is going to be like when you achieve those goals, and really experience that emotionally. And that way, when you have the ups and downs, they're just going to be opportunities to learn as opposed to a wall. Right. And when you're committed to your goal and you hit an obstacle, your subconscious mind will figure out immediately solutions. Like, how do I break through? What do I learn? Who do I talk to? What do I need to read? What is the lesson here that I need to learn? When you're not fully committed to your goals, your subconscious mind will think of reasons to quit. And even though what's around you is exactly the same, your subconscious mind will focus on solutions versus excuses or reasons to quit. And I've seen a lot of people that do entrepreneurial things and they're not really fully committed. They say, well, I'll try it and see if it works. And they hit an obstacle. And now all of a sudden that obstacle, their brain is now looking at all the reasons why they shouldn't do it. Oh, I should have listened to my mom. I shouldn't have done that. This was a bad idea. And those voices get amplified on one of their shoulders. But when they're committed to their goals and they don't make any excuses to achieve them, their brain is going to say, oh, well, I can solve that. And what happens is when you have a big vision, the problems get minimized. When you have a small vision, those problems appear a lot bigger than they should be.
That's so true. I love how you say that. Have there been any challenges that have come along? And then what did you have to do in order to solve those challenges?
Tons of challenges. I mean, you have to expect that there are going to be obstacles. If entrepreneurship was easy, like everybody would do it and the opportunities wouldn't be as big as they are. Right. And so I think that the things that are challenging are opportunities to learn, to grow, to make progress, to do things tomorrow that today seemed impossible. Right. I mean, that's what growth is about. It's just getting a little bit better every single day. And a lot of entrepreneurship is the mindset. It's developing the mindset. How do you respond to adversity? How do you respond to objection? How do you respond to failure? Is failure a reason to quit, or is it just temporary defeat that inspires you to learn a lesson, read another book, get a new idea, try again, learn from your past mistakes? So there are some books that I have read over the years that I think are really important with the mindset, because how how does your mind, how does your body, how do your thoughts respond to the adversity, right? Do we react to it in a negative way and feel defeated, or do we respond to it and say, no big deal, this is part of the process, I'm on my way, right? And I think that a lot of people are afraid of failure, and especially if they've had a job before or work for somebody else, or just the way we've been trained and educated throughout our life in the school system. Like, we've been trained not to ask the wrong question, not to make a mistake, not to fail, not to get embarrassed. Entrepreneurship is the exact opposite. And the challenge that I have learned working with physicians for 20 years, the challenge that physicians have is doctors are very good at finding problems. We're trained to do that, right? What is the one thing that we're missing that we need to rule out in this Like, we just need to rule out tons of things that probably have the smallest chance of being there, but we have to rule them out before we make a diagnosis to make sure that we're offering the right treatment plan. So we're really good at finding the needle in the haystack problem. We're very good at almost imagining problems in a way, because that's how we're trained to think. Entrepreneurship is the exact opposite. We have to look for the reasons to do things. We have to look for the opportunities to win despite the challenges that are there. And it's really if I think as physicians can understand how we're trained to think, we can then train ourselves to think differently, or almost the opposite when it comes to entrepreneurship, right? If you find like, well, what happens if this goes wrong or that goes wrong? And now all of a sudden you become focused on that, and you don't want to move forward in your entrepreneurial venture because you're imagining the smallest risk that might be there, because that's how we're trained to think. But what we have to focus on is, well, what if it is right? What if we are able to succeed with that? What will our life look like? And we minimize those risks, because the challenges we're all able to overcome. Like, people don't die in small decisions, usually in entrepreneurial ventures. So we need to stop imagining the little problems and focusing on those, and really focusing on what the potential is. And then we can release ourselves and really go for our dreams and our goals.
So what you're saying is we have to bring awareness to what our thoughts are, what's happening in the moment, and then making sure that we do have the right thoughts in place, the right feelings, and the right action steps that follow.
Yeah, I mean, physicians are essentially, part of our training is almost like anti-entrepreneurial, right? It's afraid to fail. And success is built on a foundation of failure in entrepreneurship.
Yes, it's so true. All throughout medical school, residency, and then sometimes fellowship, I mean, we cannot make a mistake. If we make a mistake, it can cost someone's life. It's huge.
Or we get ridiculed or embarrassed, right? So we don't even want to try things that might possibly make a mistake. But in entrepreneurship, the more mistakes you make, the faster you make mistakes, the faster you learn, the faster you succeed.
So crazy. It's like two completely different worlds, but that's what also makes it so much fun. Now,
Yeah,
I wanted to...
And so there's a book that I would recommend. I know we talked a little bit about books. So there's a really great mindset book that I like. It's so simple. It's neurolinguistic programming. It's called The Greatest Secret in the World by Og Mandino. That is a great book where just a few minutes a day, 3 times a day, you go through different habits of how you think. Like, so one is like, I will greet this day with love in my heart. Another habit is, I will persist until I succeed. Another habit is, I will act now. Right. And you start to, and every time you read that book, every day is a little bit different. And so what happens is you start to replace bad habits or bad habits of thought with good habits of thought as you're experiencing your day. And you work with one of those habits for about 4 weeks, and then you move to the next one, and you move to the next one. And it almost takes a year to go through this journey. It's so simple to do, but I can tell you, like, when I was faced with adversity, and there were, I don't know, I mean, half a dozen times that I almost quit my business in the first 6 months or the first year. One of my mentors always asked me, hey, are you reading the book? Because your mindset's off, Steve. And I'm like, actually, I'm not. And I noticed that every time my mind was going into this negative state or this fearful state or doubting myself or my vision or what I was doing with my business, I noticed it was because I wasn't working every day on my mindset. And you're going to have good days and bad days. And it's all about how do you respond? And you've got to build up that shield to protect your mind from those voices that are casting doubt on what you're trying to do, because change is always going to have some resistance. It's always going to have some challenges. And I think as we recognize that that's part of the process, that that's normal, doesn't mean you're failing. All entrepreneurs go through that. But a lot of times you hear an entrepreneurial story, you hear someone's success story, and you're not hearing all the failure, right? You're seeing the success. But if you actually take the time to have a conversation with them and say, tell me all the challenges you've had, they're like, oh man, I could go on for days talking about the challenges I had that I had to overcome in my business. And to me, it's kind of like I was thinking, am I doing things right? Right? Am I failing? Am I on the right track? And as an entrepreneur, it's hard to kind of gauge how you're doing, right? Because you're carving your own path. But I think if you understand that, hey, these challenges are normal. I'm normal, right? I'm an entrepreneur. I'm having these challenges. I'm having these doubts. This is normal. I just need to push through, work on this, and reading every single day and putting good things in your brain, being around positive, supported people, avoiding negativity like the plague. Like whether it's the news, whether it's someone that's telling you you're crazy for doing it, you've got to avoid those negative things in your life because they're not supportive of your goals. You have to be around people that are supportive of your goals and have those kinds of conversations with them.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Whatever you feed your mind, it's just as important whatever you feed your body. And it's really, it makes a world of a difference. Whenever you do think positive thoughts, whenever you do consistent daily habits, like you've mentioned. I mean, I haven't heard of that book, but I'm really curious to implement some of these techniques in my own life too, because all you want to do is just make sure that you are contributing to the world and making the world a better place for everybody.
Yeah, there's another book you've probably heard of it or read it called Think and Grow Rich, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So that's talking about what, think and I'll grow rich. It sounds kind of weird. You read it, it sounds a little bit out there, but there's another book, and you may have heard of the movie or the book, The Secret,
Yeah.
right? Which is, right, the law of attraction. Well, there's actually a science behind that. And there's another book called The Answer, which I read, oh my goodness, I read that maybe 15, 16 years ago. And it talks about basically the neuropsychology of why that works. And it all has to do, I mean, primarily with a part of the brain called the reticular activating system. We're bombarded with all kinds of information every single day, and we don't remember it because it's not important. Like, what was the color of the person's shirt that served you coffee last? You probably have no idea what the color was because it didn't matter. Or you buy a new car and all of a sudden you realize, okay, if you have just bought a new black BMW, it's like, wow, look how many black BMWs just like mine are on the road. You notice them, but they were there the whole time. Your reticular activating system is designed to filter out things that aren't important to your conscious and subconscious mind. Well, that's why when you focus on your goals and you are really focused on it, all those things that are around you that are supportive to help you achieve your goals, your reticular activating system will immediately identify those things, and then you'll be able to bring it to your conscious and start to process it. So there is a science behind Think and Grow Rich, and there is a science behind the law of attraction. And where I really kind of connected some of these things that felt a little bit out there. The book called The Answer was more of a science-based reasoning and rationale behind why a lot of that stuff works.
That's great. I think The Answer would resonate really well with our listeners, for sure. And all of the books you mentioned are amazing. Perfect. Now, I want to learn a little bit more about the new technology that you have. Can you tell me and our listeners a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. I've got it right here. I learned about this when I was in the Silicon Valley. Like, one of the biggest problems we have in our healthcare system is our diet and our lifestyle, right? I mean, that is really poor diet and lifestyle is the root cause of the majority of our preventable diseases. A lot of the issues we have with cancer, heart disease, diabetes, a lot of these things are metabolic and diet and lifestyle related. And the challenge that we have in our medical system is we treat things after the fact. And because of that, we don't get great outcomes. It's like changing your oil after your engine already starts smoking. I mean, you've kind of missed the boat to do it. We change our oil every several thousand miles because we know that prevention is better than trying to fix the problem after the fact. But our medical system, unfortunately, is focused a lot on disease management, not focused on health. And going back to what we both believe here is whatever we focus on is going to get bigger, is going to expand. When we focus on disease and the treatment of disease and pour more money in diagnosing and treating disease, what's going to happen? we're going to see more disease and we're going to be spending more money on managing disease. And we all know that that is not working, right? Yes, medicine certainly has a place. We need to manage diseases. We need to do these things, but we can't ignore the fact that we need to be focusing on health and optimizing health and getting to the root cause of why people are actually getting sick. Right. Yeah. And a lot of that is related to our diet and our lifestyle. And so when I came out of school, I really enjoyed talking to people about being proactive with their health and investing in their health. And I got tired of hearing people say, well, I'm healthy. Like, you are overweight, you're diabetic, like, you're not healthy. Just because you didn't have a heart attack yet doesn't mean you're healthy. Just because you don't have cancer yet doesn't mean that you're healthy. The absence of disease does not define health. But a lot of times in medicine, we'd say, okay, you don't have a disease, therefore here, you've got a check mark, you're good to go, right? And I think that we need to focus a lot more on being proactive with our health and getting the body healthy, because our bodies are designed to be self-healing organisms. And the earlier on in the process that we can catch things and start to steer people to a better direction of making better choices about their health and being proactive, only then are we going to really solve the problem that we have in healthcare, because we cannot afford to continue spending more and more money on managing disease. We need to be focused on wellness. And so it's great to see over the last handful of years, more and more healthcare providers are trying to figure out how to do wellness. But 20 years ago, I was trying to figure out, how do you get someone's attention? And I got invited to take a look at a new healthcare technology that was originally funded by the NIH for eye disease and cancer, looking at nutrition, specifically looking at antioxidant levels in the body. And through a simple skin measurement, it could give you a reading of how well your body is protected, looking at antioxidants and oxidative stress. And I thought it was fascinating. As I would see people line up to get this test done, they were like, how do I improve it? How do I fix it? And you had people saying, I have an issue here. My protection, my cellular protection is low. How do I be proactive and how do I fix it? Well, eat more colorful fruits and vegetables, lose weight, quit smoking, have a healthier lifestyle, and that will help it. But we've been telling people that for a long time. But when you can measure it, only then can you manage things, right? It's very difficult to manage things that you can't measure. And as I've been learning, I said, most people I'm testing are scoring poor. And it's very difficult to get people into a good range through diet alone. Because one, most people are not going to radically change their diet and start eating 6 to 10 servings of organic, locally grown fruits and vegetables a day, right? Theoretically, we all know we should do that, but how many people actually do that? The quality of our food, right? How things are farmed, the nutrients aren't in the soil like they used to be. You'd have to eat more than 20 oranges today to get the vitamin C content of an orange from 1950. Right. Wow. So we just don't have these nutrients in the soil. They're not in our food. We've industrialized our food supply. We're growing things based on weight, not based on quality. I live here in Florida. You do as well. If you go to the grocery store, how often most of the oranges come from California or South Africa, right? We don't even
growing oranges here locally.
We have an orange on our license plate, yet we get oranges from South Africa. Well, what do you think the nutrient density is in that orange by the time it gets to us here, right? The tomatoes are sitting in warehouses, pumped up with gas to help preserve them and then ripen them. So we have a lot of issues with the quality of our food. And so I've always said, okay, well, yes, let's figure out how to get the best that we can from our food, which is very difficult and not practical for most people. But I also believe that if we're not getting it from our food, which most people aren't, that we need to get it from another source. And that's where nutritional supplements come in. And when I came out of school, there was so many different brands out there, and it was so confusing to decide. I really wanted to help patients make informed decisions on getting better quality supplements. But without measuring and with talking with all these companies, it was really impossible to figure it out. So this technology I saw, which is now small, right? It lights up like this, and all you do is you stick your finger on it, and it works similar to a pulse oximeter, but a different type of technology. In 15 seconds, I can get a measurement of my antioxidant status in the tissues of my body more accurately than blood.
Wow.
Right? So you can see here, I'm in the blue zone, which is near the top. Most people are down in the bottom zones because of our diets. And what we then do is once we get a measurement, we then have a line of supplements that have been certified and clinically studied to take the question mark out of it so people don't have to guess anymore or listening to some marketing gimmick, that we can actually then recommend supplements that actually work, that can be measured, and and that way when people are investing money in their health, they know that they're taking safe and effective products. So we've been now not only using this in our house. I was going to use it in my practice, but I decided, more doctors need to learn about this. So I started teaching other doctors how to incorporate this into their practice to drive more wellness, but also bring more value to their practice, because the supplement business is a 65 or so billion-dollar market that most doctors are sending out the door to GNC or Costco or somewhere else. And what we're doing is saying, hey, you can do it better by bringing this into your practice and redirect that patient's spending and get better results with your patients. And so this has really helped make an impact, not just on health, but the way physicians practice too.
Wow. It is so interesting. And you've hit so many good points here as well. It's so true that if you don't track something, you don't know where you stand, you don't know where you're going. And by having a device that allows you to see what your progress is, if you're doing better or you're doing worse on certain weeks, you can make the changes immediately. You can take that action immediately to improve your health.
Yeah, it's really amazing. And now with this new version of it, it's kind of like when computers were the size of a house or something, you didn't have them, right? But now we all have computers in our pocket. At some point, technology gets smaller, faster, more affordable, that more people have access to it. The devices I originally were using, it was this, right? It was a very expensive device that could do the test. And prior to that, it was the size of an MRI machine. And there was one that was being used for cancer research. So now for a few $100s, doctors can have it in their clinic. Med spas can have it in their locations. Health coaches can use it to go out into their community. We're working with people that have an interest in nutrition to go around to different wellness businesses and do events at yoga centers and juice bars to go out there and create more awareness in their community. People can have them at home now. They're a few $100s and the whole family can use it. And you can gamify nutrition for your home and for your family. And then we can start focusing more on these things. My kids are competing for their score. And the sad thing with children is, children's life expectancy has been going down for the last handful of years because of what kids are eating, right? If you go to a restaurant and you look at what's on the kids' menu, there are not usually healthy choices there. And we're seeing alarming rates of diabetes, obesity, chronic diseases in children that shouldn't be there. And what's it related to? What's changed? Diet. Right. So again, when we can focus on better diets and better nutrition and proper supplementation, we can start to create those habits early on, not just for children, but for entire families, because the commercials that they're listening to are not usually healthy food. Right. And that's what they're being influenced by. And so we've got to fight against the chemicals and the food industry that is being marketed to children, marketed to families, marketed to people, and get better quality food and better nutrition. And when we focus on that, we can start to make better choices. And I really believe, in many doctors I work with, that this will become the next major biomarker in healthcare. And we're very excited about expanding it. And I don't know if your audience is entrepreneurs as well. So we are growing our team of like-minded entrepreneurs to work together with us. We actually provide training, support, business models, a great community, because we really need a grassroots movement to fix the issues that we have in healthcare. We cannot rely on the insurance companies, the government, the pharmaceutical industry, the hospitals per se, because as long as they're incentivized on diagnosing disease and treating disease, they're not as incentivized as they should be towards wellness. Now, yes, things are changing a little bit, but we've got to change things a lot faster. And that's what we're doing with my organization, Get Healthy USA and Get Healthy Global.
That's beautiful. I love your mission. I love your vision. Now, what are some of the ways that our listeners can connect with you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, Dr. Steve Moore. My primary one is LinkedIn, so you can find me on there. You can also go to Dr. Steve, so drsteve.gethealthyusa.com. You can learn more about what we do and connect with me. If you're interested in bringing this technology into your practice or working with us from an entrepreneurial standpoint, I'd love to connect with you. And then one of the other businesses that we were talking about with software is really helping physicians deliver more wellness education to their patients without more work. And so we just developed a system called Wellpath 360. And it basically is a turnkey system. It's completely built for healthcare providers or medical spas or other people in this space. And it delivers regular wellness education to your patients, your clients, while also driving revenue on the back end.
That's incredible. Well, thank you so much, Steve, for being here on the Coffee Playdate podcast. We had a really great conversation and hope to catch you soon.
Yeah, thank you, Olga, and congrats on what you're doing. This has been a lot of fun. I love the opening questions. You are great at interviewing, and hopefully your listeners got value. Or you just never know. One idea, one thought can stimulate something that can be completely life changing. Maybe you listen to another speaker on your podcast or this podcast here, and you hear something that you connect with that maybe removes that doubt and says, you know what, I'm going to try a little bit harder. I love podcasts because when you listen to them regularly, it's not just the information that you get from the podcast, but it's actually what your mind starts to think. It stimulates your own creativity, your own thoughts to be able to go for your goals and your dreams. And I continue or encourage listeners to continue to listen to podcasts just like this, Olga. So congrats on what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Steve. All right. Thanks for tuning in to the Coffee Playdate podcast. This episode is designed to help you stay driven, aligned, build momentum, and take action on your entrepreneurial journey. That's my Dhamma method in motion. If you enjoyed this conversation, hit subscribe and share it with one other person who you think would benefit from it. And when you're ready to live life on your own terms, book a discovery call at coacholgamd.com to see if one-on-one coaching with my Dhamma method is your next move.